There comes a moment in every believer's life when heaven starts to move quietly, when God begins to rearrange the unseen so that the visible world has to respond. You might not see it, you might not feel it, but I tell you, with a fire of conviction in my spirit, God is about to fill your bank with favor. Not trickle, not sprinkle, but fill it completely. When God moves, he does not move with limits. When his hand releases abundance, it is not with hesitation. It is with power, with purpose, and with an unstoppable overflow. You have been walking through seasons of delay, wondering when things will change. You have looked at your account and whispered, when will the drought be over? But the drought is not a sign of your defeat. It was the preparation for a divine release. When the land is dry, the rain becomes more precious. When your resources have been stretched, your faith has passed. It's been made stronger. And when your faith is stronger, you become ready for what God is about to pour out. God does not bless a soul that is not prepared. He allows emptiness so that when he feels it, it will be seen as his glory and not your own work. I want you to understand this truth. Favor is not random. Favor is strategic. God's favor is the language of destiny. It comes when you have been tested, when your motives have been cleaned, when your hands are clean, and when your heart is aligned with obedience. The world may think favor is luck, but those who walk with God know favor is a covenant between your faith and his promise. You have prayed, you have waited, you have endured, and now the spiritual climate is changing. God has seen your faithfulness in the valley, and he's getting ready to reward you in the sight of your enemies. Do not mistake delay for denial. Every delay has been a plan. God was not ignoring you. He was making your capacity larger. He was stretching your faith to hold a greater blessing. Some of you have been living on just enough, but God is about to move you into more than enough. You are about to walk into rooms you didn't even know were there. You are about to receive calls you didn't make. You are about to see opportunities you didn't chase. Because when favor floods your life, effort becomes ease and scarcity bows before abundance. You see, God has a divine pattern. Before every flood of blessing, there is a flood of faith. God always prepares your spirit before he fills your account. Because if your heart is not ready, the blessing will crush you instead of lift you. That is why God had to let you experience lack. That is why you had to be rejected, misunderstood, and overlooked, because favor must find a humble heart. And now your humility has qualified you. Your tears have spoken louder than your words. Your faith has built a case before the throne of God, and the verdict is abundance. When God decides to fill your bank with favor, it will not be because of human systems. It will not be because of economic trends or government structures. God does not need permission to bless you. His favor goes beyond logic and defies limits. He can make one connection open 1,000 doors. He can take one idea and multiply it into generational wealth. He can turn one seed into a forest of provision. God is about to show that when he blesses, no one can reverse it. There are moments when God tests your generosity to measure your readiness for favor. You cannot expect a flood when your hands are closed. God feels what is open. He blesses what is released. Some of you have given in faith when it didn't make sense. You sowed when the ground looked empty. You believed when there was no proof. God saw every sacrifice, every offering, every moment. You chose trust over fear. Now the heavens are responding. The rain of favor is gathering over your name. The clouds are heavy with blessing, and soon the downpour will begin. Do not let your eyes fool you. Even if your situation still looks dry. No, this God often walks underground before he moves above ground. The roots of your harvest are already spreading. The foundation of your wealth is already forming. The people who once doubted you will soon see the hand of God rewriting your financial story. This is not about greed, it's about glory. God wants to prove to you that his favor has no limit. He wants to use your story as proof that faith attracts divine provision. But understand this, favor flows to the faithful, not the fearful. If you allow fear to control your thoughts, you block the flow of abundance. God does not pour into doubt, he pours into trust. When you speak words of worry, you push away the flood. When you speak words of faith, you attract it. Declare today, even before it happens, God is filling my bank with favor. Say it until your spirit believes it. Speak it until your atmosphere changes, because words create reality. When your declaration aligns with God's intention, the floodgates open. There is a sacred principle. God cannot bless what you cause. If you keep saying, I am broke, you are sealing your own. Drought. If you keep saying, I can't afford it, you are building a wall against your own favor. But if you say, God is my source, you open a river of provision. Wealth is not just money. It is a showing of divine trust. When God sees you as a faithful manager, he releases more. He blesses you not only to fill your life, but to overflow into others. You become a channel of generosity, not a storehouse of fear. When God fills your bank with favor, do not be surprised when people who ignored you suddenly notice you. They will wonder how it happened. They will try to explain it through logic, but they will fail to understand that what is divine cannot be explained through the natural. You will move from overlooked to overbooked, from forgotten to favored. Because when God decided it is your time, no power can hold you back. Your time has come. The spiritual clock has struck. Heaven is opening its treasury over your name. You may say, but I don't see any sign yet. That's because the greatest flood begins in silence. Before the rain falls, the clouds gather quietly. Before breakthrough comes, stillness rules. God often moves in ways that the human eye cannot see. Do not interpret silence as absence. God is working behind the curtain, preparing resources, aligning connections, and arranging timing. And when it happens, it will be sudden. At the same way the flood in ancient times came suddenly, so will your favor arrive unexpected, undeniable, unstoppable. You have been faithful in what is small. You have not complained when others prospered. You have blessed others even when you were in lack. That spirit has moved God's heart. Now he will reward you openly. There will be a divine reversal. The same hands that once reached out for help will soon become the hands that give help. The same voice that once prayed for provision will soon testify of abundance. You will become a living proof that when God says it's time to prosper, nothing can stand in the way. Do not allow the opinions of others to limit what God wants to do. People may tell you that favor is unrealistic, that abundance is prideful. But remember, it is not pride to receive what God provides. Poverty does not glorify God. Obedience does. Faith does. Integrity does. God delights in your prosperity when it reflects his goodness. When your wealth becomes a testimony, it draws others toward faith. You are never meant to struggle forever. You are meant to rise, to expand, to rule in wisdom and abundance. The secret is surrender. When you surrender your plans to God, he multiplies them beyond measure. Many try to force wealth by striving, but divine favor is not earned through stress. It is received through surrender. When you stop chasing money and start pursuing purpose, money begins to chase you. When your motive shifts from accumulation to assignment, heaven takes notice. God favors those who understand that favor is not for self-promotion, but for service, for impact, for change. There are 3 dimensions of favor: divine, relational, and material. Divine favor opens heaven's approval over your life. Relational favor places you before people who carry answers to your prayers. Material favor releases the physical showing of God's provision. When all 3 align, wealth flows effortlessly. That is the alignment God is bringing you into now. People will start showing up with solutions. Opportunities will knock without notice. Doors you never knew existed will swing open. The flood is forming. You must prepare. Preparation is proof of faith. When you truly believe the flood is coming, start building your ark. Organize your finances. Clean your environment. Detach from negative people. Position your mind to receive. When you prepare, you send a signal to heaven that you are ready for overflow. God cannot release favor into chaos. Order attracts abundance. Structure supports blessing. Begin to act like someone who expects increase, because expectation is the birthplace of manifestation. There is power in prophetic gratitude. Thank God in advance for what has not yet appeared. Gratitude draws favor faster than prayer alone. When you thank God before the blessing arrives, you declare your faith louder than your need. Gratitude says, I already know it's done. It tells heaven that you are ready. Begin to thank God for your coming overflow. Thank him for the increase you cannot yet see. Every thank you is a seed that multiplies into more. Some of you have been facing unusual attacks lately, not because you are cursed, but because you are close. When the enemy senses that favor is near, he fights harder. He tries to distract you, discourage you, and make you doubt. Do not give in. Your warfare is a sign of your wealth. Your battle is evidence of your breakthrough. The darker the night, the nearer the dawn. Hold your peace. Keep your faith. And watch how quickly God turns the pressure into promotion. You are not waiting for favor. Favor is waiting for you to believe. The moment your faith matches God's promise, the release happens. Stop saying someday. Say now, because God responds to now faith, not someday faith. Speak life into your finances. Walk as if the flood has already begun. Speak to your bank account, your business, your career. Command them to align with divine increase. Words are spiritual currency. Use them wisely. Do not envy others who seem ahead of you. Their season is theirs. Your flood has its own timing. God's calendar is not bound to man's clock. When it is your appointed time, everything will happen fast, too fast for explanation. The same people who passed you by will stand in awe of your rise. God is setting the stage for a display of his favor, so great that even your critics will have to say, surely this is the hand of God. Guard your atmosphere. Do not speak unbelief. Do not entertain conversations that drain your faith. Surround yourself with the people who expect miracles. Align your energy with those who speak increase, not decrease, because your environment either waters your faith or dries it up. Protect the seed of expectation that God has planted in your heart. The flood is too close to be wasted on doubt. There is no shortage in heaven. God owns the supply chain of the universe. When he decides to favor you, resources rearrange themselves. Currency will find you. Opportunities will recognize you. His investors, helpers, and destiny connectors will locate you without your struggle. You will become magnetic to blessings because favor makes you visible in the invisible realm. Everything you lost will be paid back with increase. Every closed door will be replaced by double. Every delay will turn into acceleration. You will recover more than you ever imagined. God never restores to the same level. He multiplies. When he does floods, he doesn't measure drop by drop. He releases rivers. And those rivers will carry your name, your business, your dreams into places you never reached before. Keep walking by faith, not by sight. Because sight sees limitation, but faith sees overflow. You are on the edge of a divine release that will change your life. God is not just blessing you financially. He is rewriting your legacy. He is making you an example of what happens when faith refuses to quit. Your testimony will not be whispered. It will be declared. And through your abundance, others will learn that trusting God never fails. Listen to me carefully. When God sets his eyes on a person to favor them, no force on earth can stop that wave from coming. There is a divine acceleration that begins to move in the spirit. And everything you lost, everything that was delayed, begins to rush toward you. It is as if heaven suddenly remembers your name. And every prayer you whispered in secret begins to echo in the courts of eternity. You are entering a time where God will make your obedience expensive, where your faith will yield interest, where your waiting will produce weight in glory. You are not forgotten. You are being remembered in the very economy of heaven. There are moments when you think your faithfulness has gone unnoticed, your trust has been overlooked, but God keeps perfect records. Every seed you sowed in faith was registered. Every act of obedience was written down. Every tear that fell, while you held on to hope, was collected. God does not forget. God is meticulous with those who trust him. And when the time of remembrance comes, favor does not come like a stream. It comes like a river that burst its banks. You are standing at the edge of that river. Now, when God fills your bank with favor, it will be to show his sovereignty. He wants you to know that it is not your job, not your degree, not your network, not your strategies. It is his doing. He will make the increase so unusual that you will have no one to credit but him. The contracts will come from directions you never pursued. The opportunities will emerge from conversations you never had. You will wake up one day and things will have shifted so suddenly that you will say, only God could have done this. That is the nature of divine favor. It amazes even those who receive it. But hear me, God's favor is not just about gathering. It is about assignment. He blesses you to become a blessing. He increases you so that you can reflect his generosity on earth. When you understand that money is not the goal but the tool, you qualify for abundance that has no limit. God gives wealth to those who know how to manage it without worshiping it. The moment your wealth becomes a testimony instead of a trophy, heaven keeps pouring. The flood never ends for those who remain humble. Many people pray for favor, yet their hearts are not ready to handle it. They want the flood, but they are not willing to build a foundation. God will not pour abundance into an unprepared vessel. He will first shape your mindset, test your integrity, refine your patience, and stretch your faith. He will place you in seasons of lack, not to punish you, but to train you to handle plenty. Because favor without wisdom becomes a burden. God's preparation is a proof of his intention to promote you. Do not despise the process. It is the prelude to overflow. Sometimes God delays your financial breakthrough to protect your destiny. You may think you are ready, but God sees further than you. He knows that early promotion can destroy character. He knows that sudden wealth can corrupt unguarded hearts. So he waits until your priorities are cleaned. He waits until you no longer need a favor to prove your worth. And when he sees that your heart can handle the harvest, he releases it without restriction. God never withholds to harm. He withholds to heal, to teach, to strengthen. Favor begins in the mind before it appears in the bank. You cannot receive on the outside what you do not believe on the inside. The limitation is not with God. It is with your belief. If you see yourself as small, life will treat you small. If you keep thinking scarcity, you attract scarcity. God wants to expand your thinking before he expands your resources. Begin to think like a manager of abundance. See yourself as someone trusted by God to distribute wealth for divine purpose. That mindset attracts divine supply. The deep wealth that is coming is not just a currency. It is influence, access, and authority. God is not just giving you money. He's giving you a voice that cannot be ignored. He is positioning you in places where decisions are made. He's placing your name in conversations that open nations. This is not just financial favor. It is kingdom favor. God is raising you as a vessel through whom his provision will flow to many. That is why the flood will be vast, because it is not for you alone. It is for the lives that will be touched through you. Do not fear the size of what God is about to release. Some of you have been trained in smallness for so long that you hesitate when greatness calls. But God does not consult your past to decide your future. He will place you in positions your resume cannot justify. And that is exactly how he displays his power. The flood of favor is not logical. It is supernatural. It does not follow earthly rules. It obeys divine law. And the divine law says what God opens, no one can shut. You must also learn to recognize when favor is approaching. Often God gives you signs before the flood. He increases your sensitivity to opportunity. He stirs your spirit with bold ideas. He brings people into your life who challenge your comfort. These are not coincidences. They are signals of movement. When these things start happening, respond with faith, not fear. Step out. Take the inspired action. Speak the word. Part the sea, because obedience activates the M. Flood. And remember, God's favor flows where peace lives. If your heart is anxious, it blocks the current. Worry is the enemy of wealth. When you trust God completely, you create an atmosphere where blessings flow without resistance. Let go of anxiety about bills, debts, and shortages. You are not. Know your bank balance. You are God's vessel. Your provision is not limited to a paycheck. It is tied to his promise. Peace is the pipeline through which prosperity travels. Keep your heart still and the flow will find you. There is also a divine law of association. Favor flows through connection. When God wants to bless you, he sends people. When the enemy wants to hinder you, he also sends people. Be wise about who walks beside you in this season. Not everyone can handle your overflow. Some will envy your increase. Others will drain your energy. Stay surrounded by those who celebrate your growth and point you back to God. The wrong company can block favor. The right company multiplies it. You must also remember that the flood of favor is not a one-time event. It is a continuous system for those who remain aligned. God does not bless you once and then forget you. He sustains the best flow for as long as you remain faithful. The moment you start to take credit or lose gratitude, the flow begins to slow. But when you remain humble and generous, heaven keeps sending more. God loves to trust those who treat wealth as worship. Every act of generosity keeps the river alive. If you want to see the full flood, you must be willing to step beyond the comfort. Favor is not found in familiarity. It requires courage to leave the old and embrace the new. God may ask you to walk away from certain habits, circles, or patterns that no longer serve your future. He may close one door so that the flood can enter through another. Do not resist divine redirection. What looks like loss is often God clearing the path for a larger inflow. When the favor of God overtakes you, it will correct everything that once limited you. Debts will dissolve. Delays will vanish. Doors that were sealed for years will swing open as if they were never shut. That is how powerful divine favor is. It rewrites your reality. You will look back and realize that all the struggle, all the confusion, all the waiting were part of a divine equation leading to overflow. God wastes nothing. Every hardship becomes the soil from which your harvest grows. God's flood of favor will not only fill your bank, it will fill your life with freedom. Financial favor is only one expression of divine abundance. There is also favor in relationship, in health, in peace of mind, in purpose. When God favors you, he touches every area of your existence. You will wake up feeling lighter, think clearer, love deeper, and give more freely, because favor restores what lack once took from you. It heals the invisible wounds of struggle. Understand that favor is not fragile. It is fierce. It fights for you. It defends you. It makes your name echo in rooms you have never entered. When God's favor covers you, no slander can undo it, no jealousy can cancel it, and no system can suppress it. The same way a flood cannot be contained by human hand, divine favor cannot be contained by opposition. It breaks through barriers. It overflows boundaries. It rises higher than resistance. That is what God is about to release in your life. There will come a time when you will not need to explain how things changed. The transformation will speak for itself. People will notice the peace on your face, the strength in your step, the confidence in your words. They will sense that something divine surrounds you. That is favor, quiet but powerful, invisible but undeniable. God will cloak you in a presence that attracts opportunities. You will attract solutions simply because you carry his grace. Now, hear me. As favor increases, so must the discipline. Blessing without structure becomes chaos. God does not flood to destroy. He floods to expand. You must learn to manage the overflow wisely. Budget, plan, invest, and give strategically. Treat every resource as sacred, because it is when you respect what God releases, he releases more. Discipline is the gatekeeper of destiny. The more you honor his blessing, the more he trusts you with abundance. There is also the principle of secrecy. Some blessings are not to be broadcasted. When the flood begins, move in silence. Do not announce. Without what God is doing before it is established. Not everyone who smiles with you, celebrates you. Guard your dreams until they manifest. Speak less, pray more, act quietly. and let results make the noise. God blesses the humble, not the boastful. Protect your favor through discretion and do not forget favor requires movement. You cannot stand still and expect a flood to find you. Take steps in faith. Apply for that opportunity. Launch that idea. Write that plan. God blesses motion. When he sees you moving, he multiplies your momentum. Even if the path is uncertain, walk by faith. God cannot steer a packed vessel. He moves with those who move. The flood will meet you in the flow of obedience. When God decides to favor you, he does not ask for permission. He simply acts. He breaks through barriers and moves through systems as though they never existed. What seemed impossible yesterday will bow before you tomorrow because the hand of God has shifted in your direction. There are times when God hides his favor in what looks like failure. You may have thought certain losses were setbacks, but in truth, they were sacred alignments. He had to close those doors to free your path. You could not carry the wrong people or the wrong mindset into the season of overflow that is now approaching. God will never release the flood of his favor into a heart still chained to the past. That is why some doors stayed shut. Why some people walked away. Why some opportunities fell. In part, it was not rejection. It was redirection. Every time you thought you were being delayed, you were actually being refined. God was removing every weakness that could not survive the weight of abundance. The flood of favor that is coming is not for those who cling to fear. It is for those who you have learned to trust even when nothing makes sense. God has been building your resilience in secret, stretching your faith to the point where you no longer need to understand. You simply believe you have prayed long enough. Now you are about to receive what you prayed for. God is moving resources from unexpected directions toward you. And when they arrive, you will realize that not a single season of pain was wasted. There is a divine order in how God releases favor. First, he tests your heart. Then he observes your stewardship. And finally, he measures your gratitude if you can remain. Grateful in lack, you are qualified for overflow. Gratitude in scarcity proves trust. It is easy to thank God when the account is full. But the real test is whether you can still lift your hands when the balance is low. Those who can thank God in the drought will surely dance in the flood. Favor does not follow complaints, it follows praise. Every time you choose gratitude over grumbling, you open another channel of blessing. Gratitude is a key that unlocks divine storehouses. You must also understand that divine favor is strategic. God never favors you randomly. He favors you with a purpose. The wealth he releases is always tied to destiny. He gives to those who will use his blessing to serve his will on earth. That is why he chooses keepers, not holders, visionaries, not victims. The moment your ambition becomes a channel for divine intention, the resources start flowing. The flood is not simply money. It is divine empowerment to accomplish what God planned for you before you were born. That is why the blessing will not break you. It will build you. It will not corrupt you. It will complete you. Do not let anyone convince you that you are not worthy of wealth. God delights in seeing his people rise, shine, and multiply. Goodness. Poverty was never holy. It was never his design. What honors God is not your suffering, but your faithfulness. Not your emptiness, but your ability to use abundance for purpose. When you prosper in truth, you demonstrate that trust in God produces fruit. You become living evidence that divine favor can turn an ordinary person into a symbol of extraordinary possibility. The world is not moved by words, it is moved by results. God will give you results so undeniable that people will see his power reflected through you. When favor floods, do not fight it with fear. Some people are afraid to receive because they have been conditioned to think small. But God is too vast to fit into your comfort zone. His favor is designed to stretch you, to push you beyond what you thought possible. When the opportunities come, say yes. When the doors open, step through them. When the idea arrives, act on it. Do not shrink back in doubt. If God sent it, he has already equipped you to handle it. The flood is not meant to drown you. It is meant to lift you. In this season, God will also teach you to discern the rhythm of favor. Sometimes the flood begins as a whisper, a quiet impression, a small shift in the atmosphere. Pay attention to the subtle signs. God rarely shouts, he nudges. The unexpected call, the divine meeting, the sudden clarity, all of these are signals that the tide is turning. When you sense that movement, cooperate with it. Do not delay. Move when he moves. Speak when he instructs. Give when he prompts. Those who flow with God's timing never miss his blessing. The wealth that is coming is not just financial. It is emotional, relational, and spiritual. God will enrich every area of your life, because true prosperity is wholeness. You will no longer wake up with the heaviness of yesterday. Peace will become your companion. Joy will become your natural state. Your relationships will shift to reflect your new season. The people connected to you will rise because of your overflow. God never blesses one to oppress many. He blesses one to elevate many. Your favor is designed to lift families, heal communities, and transform generations. That is why the flood must come. And know this, God's favor has no competition. You do not need to fight others for it. What is yours cannot be taken. And what is taken was never truly yours in the realm of divine favor. There is no shortage. You can celebrate others without losing your portion. God's supply is infinite. His rivers never run dry. When you stop competing and start cooperating with the flow, you accelerate your manifestation. Envy delays. Gratitude multiplies. Keep your focus on your own divine timeline, and the flood will find you right where you are. There will come a moment when what you carry internally will attract everything externally. The favor you feel in your spirit will begin to materialize around you. Contracts will appear. Opportunities will locate you. People will begin to say your name in rooms you have never entered. That is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration. God is amplifying your influence so that his purpose can be revealed through your success. Do not be surprised when sudden recognition appears. It is simply the outward reflection of inward alignment. The flood of favor will bring speed. What once moved slowly will suddenly move swiftly. Delayed payments will be released. Long-awaited approvals will come through. Hidden opportunities will surface. People who once ignored you will now seek your counsel. This acceleration will not be natural. It will be supernatural. God is compressing time on your behalf. Years of effort will yield in months what you once thought impossible. The same ground that refused to produce will now overflow with fruit. This is what it happens when the heavens open. As you rise, keep your heart soft. Never allow wealth to harden your spirit. Remember, favor flows best through humility. The more you give credit to God, the more he enlarges your capacity. Pride stops what humility multiplies. Stay teachable, stay prayerful, stay grounded. Every time you think you've arrived, remind yourself that the journey with God never ends. He's not done with you. He's expanding you. The flood is only the beginning of a much greater story. And finally, realize this. You are not chasing favor. Favor is chasing you. You are not pleading for blessing. Blessing has been assigned to you. God has already scheduled moments of provision and expansion in your timeline. All you need to do is stay aligned, stay grateful, stay obedient. The season of struggle was never meant to define you. It was meant to prepare you for this divine flood. You are stepping into a future drenched in favor, a life overflowing with divine abundance. A destiny that will make others know when God decides to bless a person, no power can resist the flood. The flood is not a gentle stream you can step into at your leisure. It is a mighty current, a divine surge that will lift you from the place of waiting and carry you into your promised land. This favor will not ask for your credentials. It will recognize your anointing. It will not require you to beg. It will respond to your belief. You have been in a season of building, of laying brick upon brick in faith. Even when you saw no palace rising, but now the construction is complete. The scaffolding of struggle is coming down. And the magnificence of what God has built in secret will be revealed for all to see. This overflow will touch the most mundane areas of your life. The bill that arrives with an unexpected credit, the favor you find with a stand official, the child who suddenly finds peace. These are not minor coincidences. They are the first drops of the downpour, the evidence that the system of heaven is now operational on your behalf. The same God who parts seas is also adjusting the minute details of your daily life. He is not just a God of the monumental, he is the Lord of the mundane, and his favor makes even the ordinary extraordinary. Do not be alarmed by the pace of this new season. Acceleration can feel disorienting. What took years to unravel will be restored in a moment. You will find that you are learning faster, understanding deeper, and accomplishing more with less effort. This is the grace of God in motion, compressing time and expanding your impact. Where you once had to strive, you will now find flow. Where you once met resistance, you will now find open gates. This is not because you have changed, but because the season has changed over you. The wind of the Spirit is now at your back, propelling you forward into destinies you once only dreamed of. Your history of faithfulness has become your spiritual authority. Every time you chose integrity over convenience, every time you worshipped in the wilderness, every time you gave thanks in the storm, you were accumulating a weight of glory. That weight is now tipping the scales in your favor. The enemy's accusations cannot stick to you because your life is a record of God's sustaining grace. The court of heaven has ruled in your favor, and the earth is now aligning with that verdict. What was written against you is being erased, and what God has written for you is being enacted. In this flood, you will discover that your capacity has been supernaturally enlarged. You will not be overwhelmed by the abundance because God has been stretching you in secret. Your heart, your mind, your vision, all have been prepared to contain what is coming. You will handle great resources with great wisdom because you learn to be faithful with little. You will navigate great influence with great humility because you learn to serve in obscurity. The preparation has perfectly matched the promise. This favor will also bring a divine protection. As your light rises, it will attract attention, both divine and diabolical. But the same favor that promotes you will also shield you. Gossip will not stick. Schemes will not succeed. Envy will not penetrate. You will be untouchable in the areas where God has ordained your increase. It is a holy insulation, ensuring that what God pours into you remains and multiplies, untouched by the hands of the enemy.